Gears Tactics. Is it worth a buy at 50 quid? Let's read the words of the developer. Gears Tactics is a fast-paced, turn-based strategy game from one of the most acclaimed video game franchises, Gears of War. Outnumbered and fighting for survival, recruit and command your squad to hunt down the evil mastermind who makes monsters. First up, guys, let's have a look at the options. You get a shit ton of graphical options that you can adjust to get the game running the way you want it. And I had no problems running this whatsoever, but I've got quite a fast computer. But like I say, you can turn a shit ton of this down if you're not. So I don't see anybody having any big problems running this game. Unless, of course, you're trying to run it on a calculator. Guys, before I go into this, thank you to Microsoft for getting us a key for this. I got a key. Obviously, they wouldn't let me have a key before the game was released because, obviously, you know, AAA games, they're terrified of this channel. So there you go. It's an honour, though. I mean, it is an honour that I'm not kind of the same as all them other review channels. This is the only channel that's got the big companies scared, and it's kind of, I feel kind of honoured, you know. The amount of channels that got review codes, channels tiny compared to this one. They all got them. They wouldn't dare give it to me. But here we are now. I've got it now. The game's out. So let's see what I think of it. Now, Gears Tactics is similar to XCOM. And it's okay to like them both. It really is. You don't have to take sides unless you're 12. But if you're not 12, then you can like them both. So Gears Tactics doesn't have any currencies whatsoever, guys. There's no passive missions that you have to do to bring your guys back to get currencies for research or to buy stuff. There's no big city map to deploy your troops on. All you have in Gears Tactics is numerous battlefields and a roster of troops. That's it. There's nothing else in this game. It's just battlefield, R&R, remod your shit, get back out to the battlefield. That's it. So the battlefield better be bloody good then. Oh, aye. It's good, alright. It's fucking good, guys. You can deploy a maximum of 4 gears to the battlefield, but I don't like calling them gears. It just sounds like I'm riding a bike, you know. We'll call them soldiers. So you can have 4 soldiers on the battlefield at once. That's it. Sometimes you'll be asked to deploy with just 1. So you deploy your soldiers, they're on the battlefield, and you move them around by simply, I'm playing mouse and keyboard, so you just select the unit, click on movement, and you can drag out a line to where you want them to go. Now you can only move them by default 3 moves in one go. You have 3 action points per go, and then it's the end of your go. An action point is consumed by reloading, firing, or moving, or using an ability. Some abilities will take more than one as well later on. Now this is an immediate thing that kind of I didn't like, the fact that you can't see a grid. It looks nicer, but practicality wise it's not as good because you can't just instantly tell how far you can move. But everything else about the way you control it is fantastic, especially setting up Overwatch. Overwatch is what you can use if you want to end your turn with action points spare. You can put your guy on Overwatch and you can make an arc by simply dragging the mouse of where you want him to guard. And anything that comes into that arc will just get attacked off this guy's gun. And you have specific classes, there's 5 of them, which I'll come to in a sec. But my defender class, he's armed with a minigun, and I've spec'd him out specifically for Overwatch. He is absolutely fucking brutal when Overwatch happens. He gets buffed just by standing still, which stacks. And he also has 7 ammo, so it's and a chance to hit twice. He's just a wrecking machine. And honestly, you'll not believe the amount of enemies that the game deploys at you. It's nothing like anything I've seen before in these types of games. It's just insane. And half the time I'm playing the game, I'm thinking, are you fucking serious? All of them? What the fuck? It's brutal. Absolutely brutal, guys. But the way Overwatch works is different to other games that I've played like this. For example, he'll keep firing. It's not just something that triggers once. This guy will just, as long as he's got ammo and turns left, he'll fire off a shit ton in Overwatch. And if you have your whole squad, which I wouldn't recommend doing your whole squad in Overwatch, but certainly 2 or 3, it's just a shit fest of blood and guts when the enemy charge at you, and they will charge at you. Some of their units are melee, and they just come running at you. Now, overall, the AI is great, which I'll come to in a second. I'm coming to a lot in a second, aren't I? But I want to talk about the classes. You've got 5 different classes. We've talked about the Defender. There's also the Vanguard class. There's a Healing class, a Scout. There's Snipers. And each of them has their own little tech tree, which has 4 possible ways to spec. You can spec into more than one way if you want, and skill points come at you thick and fast early on, but obviously as you level up your guys to the higher levels, it takes a lot longer to get skill points, but you can customize them so well, and this is where the depth comes in, because not only do the skill points give you abilities, but also the gear that you bring back. There's chests on the battlefield and you can bring gear back after your missions, and they have procs on them that will actually make things happen on the battlefield if you do a certain action. And this is where it gets really deep. You've got to kind of remember how you've spec'd each person and what kind of gear they're using, so you'll know who to do a finishing move. For example, do you need healing? Get your healer if he's spec'd right to finish off an enemy, and your whole team will get a buff. If I get one of my vanguards to do it, everybody gets an extra action point. So it's things like this. Certain grenades as well. I have people that have the cooldowns of the grenades right down as well, down to 3, I think, 3 turns. Default is 7, I think. So it's all just about getting the gear that does things. You can increase their crit, you can increase their hit points, you can increase the chance to hit, increase their movement, the amount of ammo they've got, and a lot of these work nice in tandem with other characters, and so you can set up some really nice combos. Also, you have a roster of troops, and the roster keeps getting bigger as you go further into the game, and the reason you need a roster is you can't just play with the same 4 units all the time. There is Iron Man mode as well, which I disabled because I'm a pussy. What the game does to you, it won't allow you to use the same units all the time. You'll get restrictions put on where, you use that guy in a side quest, well, you can't use him in the next side quest then. And so you have to maybe have a couple of each class going, and so you've got to spec and share the loot between them all to keep them all good as you go through. You can dismiss one and get a new one that comes in that might be higher level, and it might be worth doing that. But you get so much gear thrown at you if you get the loot crates off the battlefield, as well as the rewards for doing the actual quest, that it does get finicky. It does get a pain in the arse, to be honest, siphoning through all the gear, deciding who's getting what, and who's this for again. Is this for the scout or the sniper? There can be 10 minutes downtime between each missions once you get probably over the halfway line of the game, because you get that much freaking loot. Now, the AI in this game is really good, even on an intermediate level, which is what I played most of my time on. I did look at the higher levels, and it's fucking brutal, guys. It really is. And the AI is not stupid. Sometimes they'll back off. You'll set the perfect trap, and they'll go, I don't fucking think so, sunshine. And it's like, you bastards, come on, please. And they're just saying, no, you come to me. And it's just, that happens. That's happened to me loads of times in missions. They don't just charge at you like pricks. And the thing that really struck me about the AI, they know how to exploit your mistakes. If you fuck up with some of your deployments, they will see it. And sometimes I felt I was playing another human. It's uncanny, the AI. It's really fucking good, the AI in this. Either that or I'm just fucking shite. Now, the story is a big letdown for me. The story is, oh god. It started off really good, and I was getting into it. I love the characters, they're like the main characters. My favourite being Jeff, is it? Jeff? The guy with one eye, he looks a bit like Kurt Russell. He's just great, but it kind of, as soon as we got early on and we rescued all these civilians kind of who didn't want to be rescued, well, they all did except for the leader. And this leader came up, and I just thought, what leadership qualities do you have, love? Let's have a look, shall we? Why is everybody following you? Are you a great strategist? Are you great at organisation? What are you good at? Well, she came out onto the very first mission with us after that, and f***ed it up completely. Completely f***ed it up. She panicked. She had no discipline. She's insubordinate. She's rude. She's aggressive. She jumps to conclusions all the time, and she's completely wrong about it because we didn't drop the fucking bombs. After the game made out how awful she is at leading, why was she the leader in the game? I'll tell you why. Because it's 2020, guys. But thankfully, Vic, Kurt Russell, the guy with one eye, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't read Gears comics when I go to bed. But they carry it for me. They keep it fresh. They keep it good. And they inject it with laugh out loud funny things. He is just so damn funny. And that's what kept me interested in the story. I just kind of blotted her out in my head and thought, that's for the PC people. Fine. go away, and I just watch the rest of them, and it is fun. It really is fun. Before I go, guys, I want to quickly talk about the bosses. It has 3 bosses I haven't finished the game yet. I'm almost there, but I just thought I'd do this because I've got to do SnowRunner next. But the boss fights they really, I hate boss fights, but I love these ones. The first boss fight's really good fun. He wanders around the battlefield trying to corner you, and you've got to split your squad up. I'm not going to tell you anymore, but there's a bit of footage of it. It's really, really good fun fighting these huge freaking monsters. It is good fun. Another bit of a negative before I end is some of the missions are pretty much identical. It's just rinse, repeat on a lot of the missions, and by mid-game I was getting a bit sick of doing this same freaking mission over and over again. It's a mission that shows up in side quests as well as bloody the main quest as well. Now, I appreciate you can't just have every mission different. There's only a certain amount of missions you can do, but it was a bit of a niggle. But other than that, guys, it's a fantastic game. It's really deep. It's really good strategically. In fact, strategically, nothing can touch this. It's just, for me, it is by far the best turn-based strategy game out there. That's not to say XCOM's bad, although the last one was, but you can like them both. You don't have to hate on the XCOM fans. You know, can't you just get along, for fuck's sake? So I'm thumbing this up, guys. It's definitely worth a buy.